Hello and welcome to another episode, in fact, another season of the London Something podcast with myself, DJ Ron. Thank you to everybody who have come on board, whether you've commented, liked, subscribed. Everything you've done has helped grow this channel and we really appreciate that. Particularly, we want to also give thanks to the amazing contributors that we've had over the last 10 episodes, all of them with their incredible stories of life and their careers. And I'd also like to give thanks to our sponsor, West End DJ, who have been nothing but supportive throughout our campaign. Anyway, enough of me talking as we introduce our first guest for season 1, yeah? And boy, let me tell you something, what a guest it is, yeah? I'd like to introduce my friend, the very talented Nia Archives. Hello, Nia, you're right.
Thank you.
It feels funny shaking your hand because everybody else, I shake their hand, but I should really be giving you a hug. Do you know what I mean? Thanks for joining us today, Nia.
Thank you for having me.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, for those of you who don't know, Nia, you know when you say like a rising star, Nia, she's gone already. No more rising. Do you know what I mean? She's already gone. I know for a lot of people, actually, it's really interesting because when we were, God rest his soul, when we were at Skibber's a memorial sort of like radio show on Rinse that time and you were there. And I know that all your heroes were in the room and whatever. Everybody from Goldie to Brocky to Jumping Jack Frost to this person, everybody was there. And I was like, yo, you know who that girl is? And they'd be like, I'm not sure, you know. And I'd be like, yeah, that's Nia. And then, you know, what happened there on, and I introduced you to them. And I think that a lot of our viewers, because we have quite a mix of viewers, many of them also are, you know, they're kind of like looking into the old school, you know. But for your information, guys and girls, Nia is the quintessential old school DJ, but in a new era. Do you know what I mean? Nia, welcome again to the show.
Thank you.
I mean, I hope that introduction does you justice.
Good intro, thank you.
Right? Because I'm trying to kind of give the viewers some context actually about your rise and to where you've come from. So, you know, considering what normally happens in this industry is that somebody comes along, there's already a genre or a style of music happening at that particular time. They jump on that style of music and then they ascend. But you did it the other way. You've kind of like been producing music and creating music that is, I don't know, what, 1992 would you say?
What influence?
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely influenced by like 92 to 96 jungle, old school jungle. That's like my favourite era. But obviously I wasn't there, so it can't ever be the same. I'm not using hardware, I'm using like Logic. So it's like definitely got like my twist on it and like my influences because I like all types of music like reggae, I like indie, I like rock, I like obviously jungle. So it's like a melting pot of all this music that I love. But yeah, I have kind of done it backwards and like gone for the producing route first. Yeah,
it's interesting because you know, when I first heard of you, I think it was Genius from Rinse FM told me about it first, and then Ennis as well, you know, Ennis, and they were like, yeah, you know, like this girl Nia Archives and da-da-da. And then I came down to the NTS Loft. And I saw that part, and I was like, whoa, is this what's going on out here? Yeah. I really felt with removing all my ego out of the way. Do you know what I mean? I felt like a sort of like. And you made me feel like an elder, do you know what I mean? Because there were like all these young of people of different ethnicities listening to early mid-90s jungle, new mid-90s jungle. Obviously, I never heard any of those records before, most of them. And they were just like this creation of like, you know, it was just reminiscent of when I used to DJ like over 30 years ago, nearly 25, 30 years ago. You know, like how did you get into jungle in that sort of like style rather than picking up on the newer styles?
Now, I mean, my first intro, I'm like half Jamaican. So like I've grown up around like sound system culture. Like my family's very like family parties where it'd be like big sound system, uncle toasting and like always like reggae, lovers rock, rock steady, but then always like jungle. And I never knew it was jungle. My nana loves jungle. But But it wasn't until it was like later in my teens where I was like, oh, it's actually got a name. I just like knew like the groove and like the distorted bass, you know what I mean? And then like in my teens, I just like fell in love with it, and it's kind of been a bit of a rabbit hole. Like for the past 6 years, I'm really obsessed with it. Like I just love the history of like the music. I've watched like bare documentaries and just like really immersed myself in like the history and the culture, and like I'm always like researching and trying to find like all the old tunes and just understand it on a deeper level. And a lot of the music I make now is definitely a nod and a reference to what has been before, but it's never the same. And like the music that I play has got that sound to it because that's what I like to hear. I make music that I want to hear. It's really selfish, and like I play music that I want to hear as well. It's a really selfish experience, I can't lie.
Yeah, and thank God you were so selfish because, yeah, no, seriously, because, you know, it's refreshing to even hear it like that. And the fact that you've gone back retrospectively and gone, you know what, let me have a little listen to all of this. Let me learn about it. Let me watch all the documentaries. It's like you've probably done more than a lot of people who have been around for ages,
Yeah.
you know. Tell me a little bit about your sort of like, you know, like your childhood and kind of like, you said that your nana loved jungle and she'd play all of these music. Tell me a little bit more about your childhood.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in Bradford, and like moved to Leeds when I was a kid as well. Yeah, I had a bit of a mad childhood, I can't lie. Like moved out when I was like 16, moved to Manchester. I think like the move to Manchester for me was like definitely like the first step into my new life of where I am now, and it was like allowed me to like, I don't know, meet new people. I started making music, started like doing like little ciphers, freestyling. That's when I first started singing and stuff. But yeah, I think I definitely think living up north has like shaped me into the person that I am today, 100%.
I mean, 16, that would, I mean, I don't want to give your age away, but let's just say like that's like so many years ago.
Yeah.
Already, I mean, Manchester for decades, for as long as I can remember, has had like a strong music scene anyway. So I can imagine for you leaving home at such an early age and then being dropped like into this sort of like melting pot of different types of music and people and cultures outside of Bradford was a bit of an eye-opener for you.
Definitely. And I think it allowed me to just like meet different types of people, because like I think it's so important to like be able to speak to anybody regardless of where you're from, how old you are. Like I feel like now I'm the kind of person I can just speak to anybody, and it's not like I'm not looking at the exterior, I'm more just on the vibe thing, like what's your vibe saying, do you know what I mean? So I think that moving around a lot is like given me that gift in a way.
Yeah, no, and I feel the same way, and I know a lot of people have spoken about how music has done that for them, and how were they to have stayed within their original sort of like area or circumstance or whatever, their mind wouldn't have been as broad as it is or as it became. I mean, it's interesting. I'm sat here listening to you and speaking with you, and you know, normally like on the podcast we speak a lot about you know, like the challenges people face when they were younger and whatever, but I'm speaking to men or women who are like, you know, in their 40s or 50s. I think that what would be really interesting in this example, however, is just about your journey as a creative, you know, because it's like you're only 22 years old, you know, you're 22 years old, you won Best Producer at the NME Awards, not even this year.
Yeah.
You know, you won Best Producer, congratulations for that.
Thank you.
You know, and for me, it made me feel like, you know something, this is like really, really good for our music because it's another young person who is, you know, broadening the knowledge for other young people out there about a music form that is not just speaking about drum and bass or not just speaking about jungle and just speaking about it, but actually trying to emulate like what people have done in the past.
Yeah, and like I never act like this is new and what I'm doing is new. I'm just pushing it forward, and like I think so many, I mean, you've probably seen it in the past year, jungle's kind of like exploded and it's definitely having a moment, but I think I'm really conscious that people know about the history of the music and that it is like music of black origin. even though it might not look like that in today's current setting with the way that raves look. I think, not to gas myself, but I think I'm really important in this like history when we look back, in a sense of like I'm a young black woman, like you know what I mean, and I'm trying to represent for other young black women to show that you can be a woman and you can produce and you can DJ, and like, you know, there's not many people that look like me in this scene doing what I'm doing, so I'm hoping that by me doing it, it's like gonna change stuff. That's like my goal, really.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really essentially what I'm also saying with regards to this conversation we're having. It's like about that journey as a young black woman, and your journey from where you started at home with whatever challenges you faced, that you decided, you know what, at 16 you wanted to move on. I mean, you won't be the first, certainly won't be the last person to have moved out at 16 years old, and then gone on to then grow into this sort of like phenomenon, really. You know, so tell me about it. What's your, without getting into your early childhood, tell me about your journey through that Manchester, then through to, because I'll be brutally honest, I haven't paid attention to any of the interviews, any of the other things that you've done, and so we want the inside scoop at London Something. We don't want the press release version. We want the inside scoop here, Nia. All right? So let's go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved music. Like, I think it's just like my passion. It's like my purpose in life. I don't know. It just makes me want to get up in the morning. And like, I think it's definitely, I'm very blessed to have a gift. I really recognise it as a gift. And like, when I was a kid, I used to go to like Pentecostal church. So that was kind of my first intro to music. And I think it's the reason why now, because I sing as well, when I sing, I can just hear the harmony straight away. Because I think from like being around all them amazing like gospel singers, it's like ingrained in me. When I was younger, I taught myself to play piano, and like, my ex-stepdad was a producer, so I got to like use his Logic a few times. So when you say you taught yourself to play the piano, you mean like properly, like two hands, or that? Yeah,
ding,
yeah.
ding, ding?
I used to be like really good. I played cornet for a little bit.
No way, really?
Yeah, like I like was in the school orchestra.
No way.
Yeah.
And you taught yourself, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, and then when I moved to Manchester, I was like, I was going through a lot of challenges. I was like living in a hostel at the time, and I was like really low in myself, and like I needed a way to like process all these emotions in a way that wasn't like destructive and like quite productive. So I started like to meet people, because I didn't know anyone. I just moved there, I didn't know anyone there.
Wow, that's so brave, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
No, I mean,
when you go through it,
I
you
didn't
don't
want to
really
move to
think
South London, you know what I mean? And I'm a grown man, you know, but carry on, sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I was just going through the motions at the time, and like, because I didn't know anyone, I was like, okay, I was starting to go to like house parties and go to raves and stuff, and that's where I met my people there. And then we would be in these house parties, and then people would start like rapping over like hip hop beats and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, I might just like jump on the mic. I started singing, and then from there I was like working with like a few hip hop producers, but they were just like proper longing me out, and I just like really just deeped that like nobody cares about your art or what you're doing as much as you care about it. And it was a great lesson to have at that stage in my life, because that's when I was like, okay, cool, bun all you lot, I'm going to do my own thing. So I like downloaded a cracked version of Logic, which is a bit cheeky, but yeah, just like started teaching myself how to produce, and like I didn't know anything about it then.
And what year was this, and how old are you at that
2016, I just turned 17, yeah.
Right, okay, wow, that's incredible. Carry on, sorry.
Yeah, no, so yeah, I just was learning off YouTube tutorials, just teaching myself how to produce. It was terrible. I made terrible music for a long time. At that time, because I love Roots Maneuver, like he was played, like Brand New Secondhand was played all the time when I was growing up. I like grew up listening to like Madlib and like bare hip hop stuff, as well as like all the other stuff. So I was like making like boom bap kind of stuff, and like I had all this like emotional stuff that I wanted to work out. So I was like using it as a therapy. Like I wrote like a whole album when I was 17, just to process my emotions, and like I was making these hip-hop beats with these lyrics, and it was like really sad music, like it was just really depressing. So I made like a conscious decision to be like, I don't want to cry to my music, I want to like rave, I want to dance to my music. So I went from 80 BPM, which is like hip-hop, So double time, which is like jungle basically, which looking back makes a lot of sense because in the original days of jungle, they was using like hip hop records and then going to jungle, so it's kind of like a bit full circle. So yeah, I just like I started producing, and then my friend, I was in a bit of a off, shall we say, relationship at the time, and I just kind of wanted to get out of it, and I didn't know how to get out of it. And my friend was like, you could go to uni, and I was like, nah, I can't go to uni. I didn't finish school. I ain't got A levels. Like I ain't got no qualifications to do that. And then I found this course called Community Sounds, and they're based on Brick Lane, in Brady Arts Centre. I don't know if you've been there.
Yeah, I know where it is.
So I went there, had an interview, and they accepted me based off my portfolio, so the Logic projects that I've been doing. So yeah, I moved down to London in 2019. So yeah, at the start of it.
So you were 16, moved out home.
Yeah.
Within a year and a bit, you were already producing and already kind of like made a conscious decision that, you know what, I want to, whether by accident or whatever, I'm making jungle now because I want to.
I didn't know I was making jungle at the time. I was just making it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then you looked for the course, and it was all the way in London. That is mental.
It was crazy.
That is mental.
Yeah.
And so tell me more. So you moved to London at 17.
This was when I was 19.
Okay.
So like 2 years in between. And it was difficult because like moving to London isn't easy. I was working at KFC at the time, so I worked like 60 hours a week at KFC for months, saving up so I could like.
See, Ennis, she was already working at KFC. Do you know what I'm saying? Sorry,
I've done my real job.
You'll know what I mean by that.
But yeah, I worked at KFC for months, saving up for my deposit and like my rent and like living money as well. So it was like I really wanted something, and I'm quite stubborn. Like when I put my mind to something, I have to do it. So I just grafted, and then moved down September 2019, right before the pandemic. I was like, cool, big city, small bedroom, doesn't matter, I'm not going to be in it. And then obviously it was locked down for like 6 months, so I was like in this small room for time. Which was crazy, yeah. That
is, you know what? I'm already fascinated by this. You know that? I'm already fascinated by this story because it's all happened. I mean, when I'm speaking to people and they say, yeah, when I was 16 and we're only talking like a short period of time before you even moved to London.
Yeah.
And nobody even knew who you were.
Yeah.
This is another. And I don't want to get too esoteric here, but those who know me know that. Do you know what I mean? I believe in forces and energies and stuff. And you've created your career. You've like hands down created this from like just like those different, crucial and brave decisions that most people won't make. Most people are not going to leave home at 16. Most people are not going to be in Manchester and go, all right then, I'll move to London just to do this course.
Yeah.
It's like incredible story. So tell me more. So and then on top of that, you come when there's a pandemic.
No, it was crazy.
Hit me with more. This is fascinating.
Yeah, I do think everything I've been through, like I have had a really tough upbringing, and like obviously living on my own, navigating adulthood, being young but also having to be a lot older mentally because I'm like got responsibilities, got to look after myself, got to pay my rent. Like I've lived on my own 6 years now. Like a lot of people have that kind of familial support and stuff, and I've had to just do it myself, which I'm not complaining about. But I do think that kind of experience is given me a resilience like no other, and it's given me a passion that you can't, like a lot of people don't have that because like this is my only option, this is my plan A, I don't have a plan B, so this has to work for me.
That's amazing.
And like I will make it work, no matter what I have to do, I will like work until I get there. It might take me 5 years. It's took me 5 years, like from when I was 17 to now, it's took me 5 years to get where I am, to rebuild my life, but I'm starting to get there and I'm actually starting to thrive instead of just survive, you know what I mean? So yeah, I moved to London, and that's when I could start to like instead of surviving and having to do all this stuff, I was like, I can actually just be a normal young person and go to uni, and like I had like a pressure taken off me because I had my student loans. Like I can just go to uni and just like kind of be normal and make beats all day instead of like worrying about stuff, which was really nice. And then obviously the pandemic happened, which for a lot of people I guess was awful. For DJs, I bet it was horrible. But for me as a student, I was working at Wetherspoons at the time as well, so it was cool. I was like, okay, cool, I've got a couple of months off work, like I don't have to go to work, you know what I mean? I was buzzing. And it was in that time that I was like, right, I'm gonna like, I remember having a conversation with myself being like, I'm gonna like just work every day on my goals. Like I know exactly what I want to do. I'm going to spend time producing, I'm going to spend time doing videos, I'm going to spend time doing artwork, and like basically just create this world around myself for my music. And then I released my first single as Nia Archives, because I'd done stuff under another alias when I was younger, but I released my first Nia Archives single in June 2020, a song called Sober Feels, and that was just like the start of this crazy journey that I'm on now, to be honest.
I mean, you know, the amount of young people there are out there right now who are trying to make it in the creative industries, yeah? And here you are in 5 years, yeah? Imagine that, 5 years. Actually, it's even, you know, like we know the journey's 5 years, but actually it's during the pandemic. We've only just come out of the pandemic. And by the time we're out of the pandemic, you are winning Best Producer at NME. It's like, it's just phenomenal. It's like, it's almost unheard of. It's like you've been blessed to make that happen like that.
Very blessed, yeah.
And it's because of the, again, I'm repeating myself, because of the efforts that you've put into it, you know? Tell me a bit about the release and obviously the work you put into that first single and the, you know, the adulation you received back. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Sober Feels, I made it like March 2020. It's like, it means a lot to me, that song, I can't lie. It's really personal about like stuff that I was going through at the time. And I made it, I've got like this VHS Sony hand camcorder from the 90s, and I still use it now and like shoot all these like DIY videos. I love like DIY culture, and I'm visually inspired by like skateboarding culture, like a lot of the skateboarding films and stuff. So yeah, I just like shot this video in my room because it was in lockdown, like on my poster on the wall, like my big Jamaican flag on the wall, and like made this little video. I made the artwork myself. It's kind of rubbish, I can't lie. It's a bit dead, but it was DIY, you know what I mean? It's my first time doing something like that. And I'm going to be real with you, Ron, I did send out Sober Feels to every single like big drum and bass and like jungle label, and no one replied to me.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You see what she just said? Huh? You lot, you missed out.
You did.
Because she didn't send it to me. If she sent that to me, that'd be my artist sat down in a chair right now. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Go for it.
Yeah, I sent it to I'm not going to say no names, but I sent it to everybody. And it's funny how the tables have turned. But at the time, I was like, okay, cool. You lot are not inviting me to your table. You're not giving me a seat at your table. So I'm going to make my own table and bring my own chairs, everything. I'm just going to do it myself.
You were supposed to do that.
Yeah, I think...
you were supposed to do that. You were supposed, because you were about to give up on your... you thought that was the route to take.
I needed their approval.
You thought you needed the approval. You thought that, you know, they're going to take me to the next level. But don't let me stop you. Carry on.
Yes, I think like it was definitely. I'm happy it didn't happen like that. And like I was like, okay, cool. None of these labels are getting back to me. So I was like, went on DistroKid, and I basically, which is an online distributor, I just uploaded the song on DistroKid. I had my student loan at the time, so because I was in lockdown, I wasn't going out as much, so I made a decision to calm down on buying booze and that, and just like, I uploaded the song on DistroKid. It came out on the 5th of June, 2020, and I was like, okay, cool. I posted this little snippet of this DIY video that I'd made in my room, posted it on Instagram. I used my student loan money, used 500 quid of it, and just paid for Instagram adverts to promote the song. That was my press. That was my marketing, like, just my little student loan. And then it took a bit of time, it took like a month, but people started like seeing it, like got a lot of attention. I had like Sony ringing me, all these big labels ringing me after this one song. What
an amazing story. Do you know what I mean? You know what I really like about that? You know what I really like it so far about this story?
Yeah.
Particularly that you're making jungle as well. You're doing what was the culture of jungle, but in the modern day, because it was all self-sufficient. Nobody knew what they were doing. They were all learning. I'm repeating what somebody else had said before, but we were all learning on the job.
Yeah.
And here you are.
Winging it.
But in the 21st century.
Yeah,
I love this story. Carry on.
Thank you. So I put this tune out and people just started like loving it basically. And then a month later I released this other tune, which isn't a jungle tune, but it was just like, I was just experimenting with my production at the time. It was like a grime house tune basically, and I uploaded that, and that got in New Music Friday on Spotify, which is crazy. As like,
it got what on Spotify?
New Music Friday, which is like, as an artist, it's great to get in there, which I was really grateful for.
And was that the same system that you used?
Yeah.
Same technique?
Same
it was
technique,
like, that one worked, I'm going to spend 500 quid,
Yeah.
this, that and the other, and then it got to that one.
Yeah.
This is incredible. Fire
So
away.
after that,
I'm going to maybe use that technique.
I mean, it works.
Do you know what I mean? I might use that. Sorry.
Yeah, I did like another DIY video and just like uploaded it. And then after that, I like met my lawyer, I met my manager for the first time. And I was like, okay, cool. I've kind of done what I needed to do. Like, I've introduced myself in a way to the music scene. I'm just going to spend this summer like making music.
So that was summer 2020?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was still working at Wetherspoons at the time. I literally was working at Wetherspoons till July last year.
So let's get this straight.
And I was a student as well at the time.
Wow, this is incredible. So this progression happened within the pandemic, at the beginning of a pandemic, within the space of like 5 months.
Yeah.
Carry on.
It's crazy. I was literally saying to my manager the other day, like, I literally was working at Wetherspoons this time last year, and now I'm like, I get to DJ as a job, which is amazing. I'm really grateful to be able to do that. But yeah, so I was still at uni, I was still doing everything, but I spent the whole summer of 2020 basically starting to work on ideas for my first EP, which was really exciting. And it's all my productions, like even my second EP, it's my productions as well. So I just wanted to like prove myself as a producer in that time especially. No one really knew me, and I think because of the way I look and being a woman, being black, everyone assumed that there's no way that I could be on the buttons. There's no way that you're producing these tracks. Like, everyone's always messaging me like, oh, who's producing this? Or who's behind the beats? And like, it's like...
I must say that I kind of had a feeling like that as well.
I
can't
get it,
deny.
but...
I don't know why, and I'm sorry about that, but I kind of had this feeling that somebody else was helping you. You were still being the creative though. Which is, there's actually nothing wrong in that. I know some of the biggest producers that I know in the business, they always have to have an engineer. But sorry, carry on. Yeah.
Well, in my case, it's always been me and my laptop. Like, I don't even have bare plugins. I'm still using Logic plugins. But I think like the limitations are good because as a creative, you're supposed to be a problem solver. And like, I love like Ronnie Size and all them lot and Lemon D and them lot. And these lot didn't have thousands of plugins. You know what I mean? Like, they had limitations and they made amazing music. Yeah,
and again, another example of where I'm saying that the fact that what you're making, or certainly what you're focusing on, is like this, like mid-90s sounding music, jungle music.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah. Well, not even so much that, but more the fact of the ethos of how you're doing it all is the same ethos from back then, which is like, I've only got this.
So I'm going to make do.
I'm going to have to make do with it.
Yeah.
And we made do with it. And now, like, people are travelling the globe because of the making do back in the day. And here you are in the future making do again.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so refreshing to hear this, you know?
Thank you.
It's so refreshing to hear this because, and I think for anybody else who's watching or listening to this podcast as well, particularly young people who are out there who seem to think that they need the latest of this or I can't be a producer because I haven't got a studio.
Yeah.
I can imagine a lot of the times you were doing it in your headphones.
I'm still doing it in my headphones. I still don't have a studio.
Yeah.
I'm just like...
So it's a fascinating story of sort of like, unlike our normal stories of, triumph over adversity, this is still a story of triumph over adversity. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so I guess guess I released my first EP in April 2021, so last April. And that kind of started off the journey for me. Like every single video I did, even this last project, I've done the treatment for it myself. I've been really involved in like helping direct it. Because at the end of the day, it's my music, and when I listen to music, it's a selfish experience. I make music that I want to hear. Like I listen to music that makes me feel a certain type of way. It's a feeling, I can't describe it. So like I make tunes that make me feel a certain way, and when I feel that way, I get like visuals in my head, and I like see things in my head. So it's like I want the visuals to reflect that, and like put my personality into every aspect of what I do, because I see it as an art project rather than just a release.
Yeah, I understand.
So I self-released my first EP. I got a distro deal, which was amazing, and that helped me like fund like videos and stuff. And that really just was like the first like stepping stone into my journey. And then since then I've just been grafting, I can't lie. I started DJing for the first time last year. I was still working at Wetherspoons until July, and then I quit because I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna take a risk. I don't know how I'm gonna make it work, but I'll make it work. Like I'll see how it goes. And then I've just been like, since last year I was working on my second EP, which has just come out this year, like 2 months ago. And like I said to you, I was like really just, because I spent so much time having these like assumptions that I don't produce, and I really just wanted to like silence that, to be honest, because I also didn't want people to think that I'm only getting where I'm getting because I'm singing as well. So like a lot of the tracks on this second EP are a lot more production focused, and like not showing off but trying to show that I can do this as well. Like the first track on the EP is a song called Ode to Maya Angelou, because I love Maya Angelou, I'm really inspired by her, and it samples Still I Rise, which is one of my favourite poems, and it's literally got me saying 2 words in the song in terms of vocals, but it's mainly just production, because I wanted to show that I can do this. And I spent the whole of like last year just like starting to DJ for the first time, and just like working on my craft, and just being consistent with my social content. Like I've got VHS videos that I do like every week, and just posting constantly, engaging with my listeners, and like meeting people and connecting, and finding my people in London. I joined a collective called Brighter Days, where we all like just make like music that's like audio sunshine. It's just all good fun, you know what I mean? Like no pressure. And yeah, I've just been like kind of finding my feet really. And then obviously as I've released stuff, it started to get a bit more crazy in the past 6 months. Yeah, it's got really a bit mad, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna get to that. Because I think you know, for what's happened very recently, it's almost like, and then listening to this journey so far, knowing what's happened very recently, which we'll get to, it's like phenomenal that this has happened within the space of 3 years.
2 years. I'm on year 2.
Yeah, is it 2 years? Yeah. So 2 years. I was going to say 2 years, including the pandemic. 3 years, including the pandemic. Yeah, because we're not finished, are we?
Yeah.
Through the 2022 yet. I mean, you spoke earlier about the fact of, you know, being a young black woman, and you know, like, you know, showing that you can do this without, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? What? Tell me about that. Tell me your vibe about being a young black woman coming through this and into this industry, and just being in the music industry as a whole. Because what I see here, pardon me, is that your experiences have really set you up for stability. And by that I mean that the fact that you left home when you were 16, that you saved up for all of the things that you needed. You know, like you sacrificed, I suppose, in a way, a lot of your youth to be 22 at this point now, and now be going into your career is very rare, because certainly I speak for myself, and I speak for a lot of my peers anyway, we stumbled into making dough, and when we were DJing for fun, it was all a good laugh and whatever, and then all of a sudden everybody's getting paid.
Yeah.
And then you're getting paid, it's like the first time you've had any dough, so it's like, whoa, and everybody's on a woi ting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Right? But you haven't done it in that route. You've kind of like, you've like been stable throughout, you know. Like I can't speak for everybody. Not everybody's been like that. So sorry about that, Groove. 'Cause I know you were at the communications place, Groove. But anyway, but most of us were on the road, right? And but you've done it in a way where you've sort of like, you know, through whatever adversity you started with when leaving home, going to Manchester, coming to London, having to survive, having to pay your rent without any support whatsoever, then being at uni, you know, managing your finances and whatever, and then building this career out of it. You've set yourself up now mentally, I think, as somebody who's kind of like, you're not going to be able to pull the carpet from underneath you so easy with like the glitz and lights and stuff like that. So explain to me like how you feel about that and how that will help motivate other people like yourself, you know what I mean, black women, young, who might want to get into some sort of like career, of a creative career of some sort.
I think definitely like I'm not going into this thinking about all the glitz and glamour. I'm not really interested in that. Like I'm interested in my future, and like also the music that I make is like, I'm not making music for the moment. I'm making music that I hope will look back on and be a part of history. Like a lot of my favourite artists made like timeless music, you know what I mean? And it's aged amazingly. I don't want to make a tune where 3 years time nobody's listened to that anymore because it was just a moment. So I'm always thinking about the future, and I think, you know, I think I've had like my crazy partying days in Manchester. So now I'm just like really just like, I want to smash it for myself and for my brothers and like build a better future and a better life and like kind of break a generational trauma in a way, because I'm living my life very differently than anybody else in my family, and that's my choice. It's something that I've got in my control. You can't choose what family you're born into, what situation you're born into, but you can choose how you live the rest of your life and how you treat people. So that's my choice, my power in a way. But I do think, you know, being a black woman, there's so many challenges for us, especially I'm black and I'm a woman, so I've got to deal with racism and I've got to deal with sexism, and that's really difficult in the music industry. That's especially a scene like jungle and drum and bass that is so male dominated, and especially now it's become very like whitewashed and gentrified. So it's been difficult for me. Like I remember when I come down to London, I was going to jungle raves, people was like, literally had white men coming up to me and like, oh, I never see black girls in jungle raves, and I'm like, I'm literally here, so don't know what you're talking about, mate.
Yeah.
And like it's like I watch the documentaries and like videos of raves like in your era, for example. And it was just blacked out, like, it was crazy, you know what I mean? So it's like, for me, I'm jealous that I didn't get to experience that, and like, I make a point that because I definitely attract a different crowd to your standard jungle rave. It's definitely a young crowd and a lot of black girls. Every single gig, the black girls always come to the front, and like, I always shout them out. I always like, after the gig, I'll always go up to them and speak to them and give them time, because it's like, it's not just me that's making this change. Them coming and like, representing at the raves, it changes everything. So I always make time for them, and like my dream is like to do workshops in the future and like production sessions for women, because it's not something that women are encouraged to do. A lot of the techie stuff, women are not really encouraged to like do that kind of stuff. It's more like, oh, do you want to sing, or do you want to like perform and do all this kind of stuff? It's like, nah, like I'm literally pressing buttons. Like I don't like the term female producer, female DJ, because at the end of the day, people don't say, oh, he's such a good male DJ, he's such a good male producer. Nobody's saying that. Like I literally don't think my gender has anything to do with pressing buttons or like using a mouse or something, you know what I mean?
Absolutely not. No, I agree.
So I'm trying to change the narrative of what it looks like to be a producer, and, you know, black women can do it too. I think, you know, we're a lot of the time black women are kind of pushed out of the picture and forgotten about, and I'm trying to show that we're here, and like, you know, if I was younger and I saw someone like myself doing something like that, you can see yourself in it, so you can relate to it. And like, I would want to do it too. So I think the reason why I'm getting black women coming to my raves is because like, oh, like there's a girl that looks like me and she's like DJing and she's like skanking out, having fun. Because even the way I present my DJing thing is bare different to like, not in an ego way, but what everyone else is doing. Because I'm You know what I mean? I'm coming with a vibe that's different. Like I'm dancing. I'm not just like proper like I'm skanking out. Like I
saw
love
that.
it.
I wish I could remember the name of the venue.
Yeah.
It was where DRS had his album launch as well, a couple of years back as well. It's like an arch.
An arch?
Yeah,
Space 289?
Yeah, on Mare Street. I'm not even sure whether that was the name of it. But it was like an arch. And
was you with Clips?
Yes, I was. I was with Hugh as well there, and Hannah was there and whatever, and
that was like a proper rave, I think.
Yeah, and you were just up there, and I was just like, I would be knackered by now because you wasn't stopping. You were just like,
it's good exercise.
You were full of energy, you know.
I love it. I'm like, I don't drink and DJ either. I'm sober when I'm DJing. Afterwards, I'll have a couple of drinks, but when I'm DJing, I want to be present and like feel the vibe that's coming into me, but also give it back out. So I just love the music. I don't need to be mashed up to enjoy that music. I can be sober and just love it. And I'm skanking out. Like I think I love the music so much. It's like I'm not just going to stand there and be serious because I'm loving this too. I'm playing what I want to hear. I forget you lot. Like I know you're supposed to read the room, but I really don't do that. She's just like, I'm so selfish with it. I can't lie.
I'll tell you something. A lot of people build their careers doing exactly what you're doing there, which is just, you know what? I'm just going to play what I want to play.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're going to like it. And
it turns out, I'm sorry.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it's again another refreshing thing to hear that you, the inspiration that you're putting out there for deliberately almost as well for other black women, and that it's working.
Yeah.
You know that you know, like I speak with Shy a lot and other producers as well, and we speak about balance in this industry, and that while over the last decade and more, you know, like you used the term gentrified and what have you, but while it's generally turned into a scene that one might not recognise if you left from the mid-90s and jumped straight into it now, there seems to be a level of balance kind of like certainly on its way back. And that's because of the type of music that's being played by big, being made and played. I think that people like yourself are very, very instrumental in this.
Yeah,
because
and Sherelle and DJ
exactly,
Fly.
Yeah. It's very instrumental because of the fact that, it's interesting. You brought up Sherelle. I remember somebody mentioned to me about Sherelle. This was going back 2019, I think it was. Yeah, early part of 2019. Yeah, it was. It was the early part of 2019. And then I saw what she was doing, and I was really excited about it and what have you as well. And I was happy that, like, here's another black woman doing what she was doing. And obviously you just mentioned Flight as well. Flight's been around a long, long time and what have you. And I think all of these things help to bring the balance, essentially, yeah?
I think we're different generations, so like Flight has definitely been important for me, for example. Like I look at someone like DJ Flight, like I'm looking at her in Chemistry as my role models and my inspiration and my bit of representation. And Flight started like EQ50, which I got to be a part of, which was a mentorship for women and non-binary people in drum and bass because we want fair representation, and it was just really great to be a part of that sisterhood and community. And I think Flight is always doing things, and like Sherelle being the person that she is so important because, she is a queer black woman, DJing and also producing jungle and footwork. And I think each person is important in the story of like pushing it forward and being that representation. Because if there was no Flight, there might not be no Sherelle, or like there might not be no me, because I wouldn't have had any inkling or any kind of reference to be like, oh damn, like I could do this as well. So I definitely have to shout them out.
I think it's rightly shout them out, and I think that to be crystal clear, that without any shadow of a doubt, they've had an impact on. Well, clearly they had an impact on you, and they would have had an impact on other people. I think, however, that your ascension and your impact in such a short space of time over such a large amount of people has been phenomenal, and I suspect it's considerably more than certainly on paper, like what they've done so far. But Sherelle, you know I love you, and Flight, you know I love you. All right, just want to do that disclaimer before you start jumping on my neck, yeah? All right then. Okay, so I want to go back a little bit because a couple of times you mentioned your brothers. Tell me about your brothers.
Yeah, I'm the oldest. I got 2 little brothers who are like my loves. Like my brothers are like the love of my life, and like, yeah, I love them.
How old are they?
So one of them's 20, and then the other one's 14. So.
I thought you were going to say like they were 7 and 8.
No, yeah, my brother Jay, he's like 20, and then my other brother Zach, he's like 14. But I remember when he was still in the belly. So like he is actually my baby. I always think when he was born, like, it was the first time my heart started beating. It's the first time like I felt love in my life, and like I don't think I'll ever love someone the way that I love that boy. Honestly, he's my world. Yeah, and like I can't lie, like it's great getting feedback from people, but the only person I care about what I think about my music is myself and Zach. I'll be real. That's it. Like, he's my biggest critic. If you don't like something, then it's not good. Like, but like I can have hundreds of people say to me, "Oh, I love what you're doing, love what you're doing," but my brother says to me, "I love that tune, sis. That's sick. Like, I really like that." Then that's it for me. Like, honestly.
Do you see them? Do they have a? Obviously you've got the youngest and the elder one out of the 2. Are they interested in any sort of like creative, like sort of like adventures or?
I don't know. I think they're both quite still working out what they want to do. Like my brother Jay, he's doing security, which is really great for him. I'm really proud of him. And Zach's still in school. It'd be my dream, selfishly, for him to come work with me when he turns.
That's why I
18.
mentioned it.
Yeah. Like I can't wait for him to grow up, and I'm gonna spoil him. And every time I've got a gig, I'll be like, "Do you want to come with me?" and all of this kind of stuff. But I think it's been really great for them to see me doing what I'm doing, and it's like it's showing them that the future can be different, and we can have a good future. And like, you know, I'm gonna look after them. Like that's my goal. Like I've recently. Released 2 EPs, and like part of my thinking is I want to put my brother's names on the royalties, so that no matter what happens to me for life, they've always got that, and like that's going to look after them. And it's something I talk to him about a lot, and like whenever there's exciting things happening, I always want to talk to my brother about it and tell him, like I love him. The other day he messaged me actually, he's like, because I've got this like SoundCloud playlist of like 50 tunes that I've not released or whatever, bare like bootlegs and stuff. It's got like a Dizzy Rascal, I Love You, Jungle edit and stuff. And he's like messaging me like, "Yo sis, can I get that SoundCloud playlist? Can I get the SoundCloud playlist?" Because he's like a skater, and like he'd go out with his boys, like listen to some of my tunes, which makes me really happy.
They're all jungle mixes, yeah?
Yeah.
You're going to have to send me that playlist, you know that? I'm getting PF3ness in there today. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's amazing. Do you know what I mean? And where do your brothers live? Are they still in Bradford?
They live in Leeds.
They live in Leeds. Yeah. Okay. I bet they can't wait to come to London.
I can't wait. I'm well excited.
Yeah.
That's gonna make me really happy. And I've just moved into a new flat as well, so I couldn't really have them come and visit me in the warehouse. That would have been a bit.
A bit peak. Yeah. I mean, you spoke about the EPs and the music that you're coming out with now. Tell me about some of the producers that you've been working with, because I mean I know, but tell them about about some of the producers you've been working with and some of the tracks that you've been coming out, which I know have been like destroying. Thank you for my special for by the way.
Yeah.
That has been absolutely destroying.
I'm glad that we've done specials, I can't lie. I was talking to Flight about this. I think it's like a lost art in the digital age of like doing dub plates for people and just running the tune in the underground before you release it. I think that's the best way to do it, like get people hyped. You can't get this tune, you can only hear it if you come into the rave, you know what I mean? And then also sending out specials to favourite DJs. I think that's just a sick art, you know what I mean? So I'm glad that we got to do that. But the tune that we're talking about is a tune with myself and Watch the Ride, which I'm really excited about, called Mash Up the Dance. And it has been like mashing up the dance, I can't lie.
It's been hurting it. It's been really, really destroying.
You're bruising
it.
Do you
know what I mean, I'm gonna find out from I'm probably going to end up using that record as the intro for this podcast. It's such a big record.
It's a big tune.
Yeah. And that comes out this month, right?
Comes out this month, yeah. And then got another, I don't know if I can say this, but I've got a tune coming out soon with clips. Done a little remix of Mike Skinner, The Streets. Geezers Need Excitement, that's coming out this summer as well. And yeah, I've been really blessed to like be stepping into more of a producer role this year. So I've been like producing with some of my favourite artists like KEB, Maverick Sabre, and there's a lot of artists that I really want to work with as well. So I'm excited just to make loads of music and just see what to do with it really. And like I'm going to have a new project hopefully. Start dripping some of that out at the end of this year, and that will come out next year. And then next year I'm going to go into album mode, I think.
Shall I let you into a little secret?
Yeah.
Shall I let you into a little secret?
Yeah.
They sent me the stems for Mash Up the Dance
Did
to
they?
do a remix for you.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to try a little thing. I'm saying. Okay, so Nia, I want to go back a little bit to where you were. You had started the promotion of your first record, and the reason I wanted to go back is because it's such a common sense way of doing things in the modern era. Yet I think a lot of people may have missed that, you know, and maybe trying a more complex procedure or process to try to get themselves out there. You know, what advice would you give to like young producers out there and people like in a similar position to yourself who are making music at the moment, but you know, who want to get themselves out there? You know, is the way that you've done unique? Is it a one-off? Is it was it a fluke? Was it what was it that you think that you could offer to people listening to now about that?
I think the reason why I've got to where I've got, and especially from that release, is because I've been true to myself. I've been like, I made a song that I love. I made it for myself. I didn't make it because I want you to play it or I want Randall to play it. I made it because I genuinely, that's how I felt and that's my emotion. And the video around it, I made that because that's what I want to see. And I think my advice for any new producer would be just make the music that you want to hear because it's going to be authentic to you. I think in this scene especially, there's like trends, isn't there? So it's like at the moment, it's like fog-on trend. Everybody's making these big fog-on tunes because that's what's cool. But like if you do that, you're going to get lost because it's like everyone's doing that. So what sets you apart? I think when you do something for yourself, no one's going to make something that's like what you've made for yourself because they're not in your brain. So that would be my advice. And I think don't run before you can walk. It's not about being massive straight away. Success doesn't happen overnight. I think it's going to... Even now, I don't feel like I'm successful. I feel like I'm starting a journey to be there, but I don't think I'm anywhere near. I'm grateful for everything that I've had and all the opportunities and the moments. But, you know, they're just moments. I'm not where I want to be yet. I think it's good to be patient with it and take your time and build something that's going to last because easy come, easy go. If you blow up, you're also going to fall down because you haven't built a foundation. So I think it's really important to build foundations and like build something that you want to last for like 10, 20 years, you know what I mean? And I think that's what I've done. I put this song out that I genuinely love and like I start connecting with my listeners and like building relationships with people in the industry naturally, not being like meeting someone for the first time being like, yo, this is what I do. Like, it's such a London thing to be like, so who are you? What do you do?
Tell me
like,
about it.
I'm a Northerner. We don't do that. Like, you know
so is that just a London thing?
It's a London thing, yeah.
No way,
Nobody
really?
does that up north. It's like people are just like, how are you, first of all?
Yeah. It's like you've got to meet the representative, you know what I mean, of them rather than themselves.
Actual character. And I think people will connect with you on a way deeper level if you just like treat them as a human being and just be like, yo, Ron, like, how are you doing? Like, how's your day been? Rather than being like, oh, hi, I'm Nia Archives and I make this music and like, will you listen to it? Nah, like, just like get to know people and like, if it comes, it comes. If it never comes, that's cool. But at least you've made a really amazing connection with somebody and it's genuine, it's real rather than like trying to gain something. I think using people as opportunities is wrong. I think it's better to like connect with people on a real one. So that would be my advice. Just like make the music you want to make, connect with people authentically and don't worry too much about what everyone else is doing because when you start comparing yourself, it's just really negative and it's not going to help you at all. It doesn't, let's be real. Like
No, because really they just want what you potentially can give to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and vice versa. I mean, I saw actually in saying that, and I've got a hell of a lot of time for Isco. I saw that you two were like...
yeah, that's my brother.
Yeah. And And yeah, that when I came to that NTS thing that night, was it NTS? Not NTS. Is it called NTS? It's the
NT Loft. Yeah,
NT
yeah.
Loft, that's it. Yeah, NT Loft. And Izzo was there and whatever, and you guys was there. That kind of like warmed my heart because I got a lot of time for him. You know what I mean? And
yeah, he's one of my favourite producers as well.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
his
You know,
tunes.
he's a lovely guy and lovely human being. You know, as well. You know, and tell me how that kind of like union formed because you guys are a collective, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
So I'm part of Brighter Days Collective, which Izzy started with our friend Sam the Man, and they started that in like 2020. And I met Izzy like literally a month after I released Sober Feels. He was like, "Oh, come round, like let's hang out." Him and my friend Josh J. Kari. I was so shy. Like I think I've only started to be this person where I'm like a lot more confident now. Like I can't lie. In uni, I didn't really speak to anyone. I was really quiet. When I met Izzy, I was doing these sessions. I didn't speak to him. The only time I spoke was when he was like, "Oh, have you got anything to sing?" Then I was speaking.
Yeah,
It took me like months to like be able to like chat to people. I can speak to anyone, but I was really quiet at the start. It took me a while to like feel comfortable. But anyway, I went to his house in like July 2020, and we made this tune called Bad Mind, which I think is going to come out maybe next year. I don't know, we'll see. But it's a beautiful song, and like to say that that's the first song that we made when we just met each other, I was like, we've got something here, and yeah, I'm really grateful for all my Brighter Days family, like Rico and Dochi and everybody, because Dylan as well, Cup of Sounds. I just think it's amazing to have like family. It's like my London family, and like we all love each other. I think in London there's like a mad culture of like superficial relationships, especially in music, where it's like we're friends, but like if you're not Nia Archives and you're not making music, then you're not really relevant to me. You're not important. And I feel like with my brothers in Brighter Days, it's like it's family vibes, and like if I stop making music, we're still gonna be friends. And like we hang out. Rico come to my new gaff recently, and we was just like having a Nando's and watching EastEnders. It's like it's not all just music. Like we do stuff as well, and we hang out, and it's like it's good to have that. And I think it's good to have those real relationships.
No,
you know?
it certainly is. I mean, it's interesting because when I'm putting two and two together, and when I saw, which I thought was a bit of promo, but probably was a promo for your first release, and I saw Isco in it, and it was in the sort of like high 8 video and whatever. And even then, I kind of got from that video that it's like a music gang.
Yeah,
Do you get what I mean? It's like a music gang of friends who are just having some fun.
Literally.
Yeah, who are having some fun, and that fun includes being creative, making music and making content generally for other people to have a listen and share and be inspired, you know?
Yeah.
And I think you're doing an amazing job of that, you know. Okay, so then if anything, then tell me a little bit more about then, you know, the current releases that you've got coming out and the inspiration behind them.
Yeah, so obviously Watch the Ride, Mash Up the Dance, Tune with Clips, the Streets remix I'm really excited about. But I'm really excited about my next project as well, because I'm kind of doing like, it's like tunes that I made from 2019 to present, and I've like been reworking them, and like I really wanted to make a heritage project that's like inspired by some of my favourite tunes. So like a Brazilian samba jungle tune inspired by Samba Sim or like DJ Marky, do you know what I mean? So that's like one influence on, and like yeah, like I want to make a disco jungle tune or like an indie jungle tune, like all these different inspirations on a project. And kind of focus more on production as well. I had the idea the other day, I don't know if I'm going to call it this, but I had the idea to call it like the soundtrack EP, because it's like all these different tunes that I've made so far, even though they're not finished, it's just like the demos. It's like soundtrack of my life, like it's like different moods. Like there's a tune for like 5 o'clock in the morning when I've been out clubbing, and like I'm like walking home and it's like light outside, and like my head's, I've named it Sunrise Bang Your Head Against the Wall. It's like, you know, when you come back from the club and your ears are ringing and it's light and people are going to work and you've not even been to sleep yet, and you're just like it's like a mood, and like it's like the soundtrack. I want this EP to be the soundtrack of these experiences and moments that I'm living.
The video would be sick.
Yeah, I would love to make, like, I'm excited to get into all the creative stuff. And I want to make an album next year, which I'm really excited about. I already know exactly like what I'm going to make. Like, I'm going to make like a live jungle project inspired by Represent Ronnie Size era, because I love Ronnie. We actually done a little tune together as well. So yeah, I want to make a live jungle project and work with someone like Inflow, because I'm a massive fan of his productions, and kind of make it more like telling the story of my life, because I can't really express that with words so much, but in music I can get it all out. So I'm excited to get into that chapter, definitely.
How would you do that? How do you, when you say tell the story via music, do you mean literally verbally or?
I guess, yeah, I mean, that's what I've been doing in all my music, but it's not so literal. It's more, I express myself in hidden messages, because I don't feel the need to be like, this happened, this happened, this happened. But if you actually listen to my music, you'll hear the story, but like a lot of people will listen to it and think, oh, it's just like a party tune. Song like Sober Feels. I don't like how Sober feels. Oh, it's just like, oh, she's just partying. But when you actually deep it, it's actually quite a deep song. And like all my songs are kind of deep, to be honest. It's all really emotional music.
Right.
And like, yeah, I've got a lot that I want to say. I've had like a really mad life, and it's been a blessing and a curse, but it's given me something to talk about, and it's something real, and it's actually got depth. So I'm looking forward to like getting it out, and I'm moving on to the next stage of my life and be able to like close that chapter kind of thing.
Nia, you know, I know we spoke a bit earlier and we said about the inspiration that you've had for other people and stuff like that, in terms of like, you know, being a young black woman who've come through and what have you. But I wanted to just ask you specifically, not so much about the production, but with regards to like the singing and the content, as you've just now said, that the content of your singing is actually, if you listen deeper, it's there, you know, like, do you think that your productions and whatever, even though you've already expressed like that, most of it you kind of like, where it's come from and whatever has been like from perhaps a place of like, sometimes a place of trauma, the lyrics and stuff. Do you think that the music and the combined vocals are important that they're together, or do you think that you can go on to, let's say for example, somebody gave you a piece of music to just be somebody who could sing on top of somebody else's music, could you separate the two?
I could, but I don't want to.
You don't want to? I
think I definitely could, but like it's just something in me makes me want to produce as well. I really love producing. I enjoy singing, but I love producing way more, and I never want to be seen as a singer. Not that it's a bad thing to be a singer, but I am a producer and I want to be that, and I use my voice as an instrument on the tracks. It's just another, like, it's like having a piano on there. Like I have done some, like me and my friend Izzy and Josh, we have done some reggae stuff, but I don't really see myself just jumping on everything and everything. I'm really selective about vocal features, because I don't want to like dilute what I'm doing. I do want to just smash it with the production, I'll be honest with you.
That's interesting, that is, because and again, it's like so rare, you know, like somebody, they'd more kind of like be down the route of being, they want to be a singer, you know, or they want to be in the spotlight for that purpose, that they're the ones in the spotlight, whereas the producer often is the person in the background, you know. And so to hear that and to know that, you know, like, again, it's kind of like testament to your character and you know, like how you've kind of like grown into this person at 22 years old. It's just like, it's really incredible. I mean, we're kind of come to the end of the conversation now, but I just wanted to see whether you wanted to share some sort of like insight for people who are out there kind of listening to this, which I hope that there's going to be all different types of people, all different ages and what have you listening, but I'm more kind of like leaning towards people who are young and kind of inspired in that way, or are on their way, you know, and anything that you can share to kind of, I mean, you've already kind of like given us a bit of that, but I want you to have the last words on that.
Okay, I don't know what to say, sorry.
You don't say, okay, well then that's fair. Do you know what I mean? That's fair. Well then, what about this then? What about if you were to end on what your aspirations are in the short term, mid and long term?
My aspirations. Like, I've got a lot of goals, but I think my like 5-year plan, I definitely want to buy a house in Jamaica and like live there half the year, and then live here the rest of the year, because it's just like, it's a life that I've always wanted to like experience. I want to like set up my brother's future and secure that for them. I just want to be happy. Like, I want to like keep working on Brighter Days with my friend Izzy and all them lot. Be happy. I think my happiness is the most important thing. Like, I feel like success is great, but like if you're not happy, then you're not going to enjoy it. So I just definitely like want to like put things in place in my life that will make sure I have like happiness long term. So yeah, I would say that's like my goal.
I think that's a good way to round up. Nia, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, yeah, it's been amazing. It's like such an interesting story about the in such a short period of time. You know what I mean? I'm like really blown away by that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And at this point, we normally hug it out.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Pleasure.
Wicked.
Okay, great.
Yay! It's a wrap.
All right.